You're watching India Today Global. If there was an ever more embarrassing, humiliating, and while Trump would call it it's great TV, but a disaster for the other, that's Zelensky, then it was this joint interaction, so to say, that happens ahead of a bilateral meeting in the Oval Office that took place. They never go live from the Oval Office, let me just tell you that, for security reasons and other logistical purposes, is the reason why after the handshake we took a while to report this to you. This is what happened in terms of the interaction. Ishita is here with me, and Ishita, shocking. We thought that he's here for a peace deal. Exactly. We also thought that this is going to maybe turn out to be a very difficult conversation, maybe one of the most difficult that Zelensky is having. But this clearly was an absolute disaster for Zelensky from the word go. In fact, not from the word go, because initially he was allowed to make those.
Yeah, he could get some
words in, and then came the slew of barbs from President Trump. Listen into what he had to say first on the millions of dollars that US has spent on Ukraine.
You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
Exactly. So, you know what we just saw, the kind of interaction between two foreign leaders, we've not seen that before, right? Unprecedented.
Absolutely.
Trump was sort of cornering Zelensky. We saw J.D. Vance also step in, and then, he was imitating him. So how do you see this? Of course, you've been covering foreign policy for so long.
This is disastrous, Ishita.
Exactly. Of course, we've seen that both the leaders have now cancelled their presser as well. So what happens?
Okay, that's news just coming in, by the way. He put out a statement before this saying that it seems like Zelensky is not ready for peace. There is an entire statement out, and we'll put that statement out as well, of Donald Trump saying that he's not ready for peace. So let him come back, and that all this was done in the cherished Oval Office. Everybody's talking about it because J.D. Vance put that, he set the stage when he said, oh, you've come here, you're talking like this, and you're being so disrespectful in our Oval Office, and we invited you over here.
Even asked him, have you ever said thank you?
Yes. And he said, I just did. In the meeting, I just did, and I have been saying thank you, but have you ever seen war? He said, I have watched what is happening. This was a strange one. This was an absolutely strange one. There is a lot to take in terms of how he was whacked, Ishita, and how this is going to be perceived. This is bad news for Zelensky. In a way, a lot of people would like to, and we'll play out the visuals of reaction. The first reaction came from none other than the Ukrainian ambassador to the US. She was sitting right in front, and we'll play out those visuals if our producer Rishika has them. And so let's just play out the visual, watch it, and then come back.
I want a ceasefire because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
I want a ceasefire because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
Okay. There was the reaction of the Ukrainian ambassador to the US, so she knows that this has not gone down well, Ishita. Again, before we go into the conversation, when you're condescending and you're looking down, which is what we were just talking about, then you imitate too. And this is what Donald Trump did to Zelensky when he imitated Zelensky. Let's just look at the visuals and hear him imitate Zelensky, and we'll then come back to our conversation.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're
again,
running low on soldiers. Listen,
please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
So, ma'am, see, this is a line Trump has been taking all along. He's saying that he wants to end the war and Putin is already in on the deal, but it is Zelensky who's acting as an obstacle to peace in Russia-Ukraine war. So now, but nobody saw this showdown coming, right from White House, and both the leaders, taking, jibes at each other. Zelensky was sort of cornered down. He could not even get a word in, after a while. So then what happens to the deal now?
So basically, this is very interesting that you asked this. What happens is that what was happening was that there was a framework agreement. This was not absolutely the agreement that the leaders were going to sign on. Yeah. It was a framework to discuss exactly who gets what and what of it. And because the framework basically talks about this is what you want, but also you have to guarantee a security. Donald Trump was heard some days ago saying that we are not going to guarantee any security, basically saying that not my job to secure you, you give us this, we give you weapons, you take care of yourself, so on and so forth. So no real commitment to Ukrainian security. So this is a framework. Now what did the boys do in the room? It was like a fest of these school boys bullying, one poor chap. He walked into that cave. He walked into that space where you had all of them sitting. And I suppose they were waiting for something that Zelensky would say that would trigger.
Yeah.
And I suppose it was the moment when Zelensky started speaking about the kind of support, help that he got, so on and so forth. He said, well, we gave you this much. It was not me, that stupid president. He gave, and he referred to Biden. And he said that... He said, but so did you. You also supported. And then Trump corrects him. No, I gave you javelins, unlike Obama. So he basically had gone with the intent. Now, coming back to your question, with the intent maybe to corner Zelensky that you're not giving me a deal right now.
Yeah.
So come with the deal. Else, I have publicly spoken and said, I'm going to pull out.
Yeah.
Support.
Either make peace or way out is basically his message.
And if they pull out, and he said that, and we'll hear it. Yeah. He said that if you do not, we already heard that bit. If you don't make peace, and if you don't agree to the deal, then we're pulling out.
Exactly.
So this is making it public, putting it out there that today I have insulted and humiliated you. You're cornered. Tomorrow it's going to be worse. Let's listen into what he had to say on the javelins, because that's where there was a to and fro and it got bitter. It really got tough between the two leaders.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
So we just heard, Trump almost sort of threatening Zelensky that, see, you don't have any cards, you're not in a position to really negotiate with us. So you sort of have to listen what we are demanding right now. Now, ma'am, I want to ask you, interestingly, now this sort of changes the whole relationship globally, because US has been an ally for European countries, for the countries that have been, in a vulnerable position or could be threatened by Russia. So now when US is taking this position that it's all business, either you give us this or we're just out, we're not going to help you in any way. So where does that sort of leave us when it comes to US relationships with its allies?
Well, it's clear that most of Europe today thinks that, which has never happened before. For the longest, Europe and American interests were aligned.
Yes.
And this is the first time that they're seeing that there's a marked shift, which is not just, it is Trump turning the policy turtle. It is just the other way around right now, where he's saying that I'm willing to talk to Putin. Yeah. And you were a fool to have been, or you were befooled by all these previous presidents who walked you up the garden path and have left you high and dry. News that's just coming in, Trump has cut short the talks with the Ukrainian president, which means not only is the press conference, which we just broke a while ago, not only has that been cancelled, he's also cut short the talks itself. So after the Oval Office blow up, when they were to have the delegation level talks, that didn't happen. According to reports, the two sides went into a heated debate, and then the negotiations have broken down. He came out with a statement saying that the man doesn't want peace and he should return to Washington DC or the White House when he wants peace. The statement that Trump put out says, I've determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace. This is a message by Trump, Ishita, but it certainly is negotiating tactics. So now two big stories, not just the press conference, even the negotiations have stalled. There's no forward movement. This is an absolute disaster at a time when Zelensky is already losing support back home. And now we're looking at not him just losing support back home, that he will, every time a leader goes to a foreign country, they come back with outcomes.
Exactly.
They say, this is what the outcome was, this is what I have got for the country, this is what I have been able to secure. Yeah. Like Zelensky is not just going to go and a man with empty-handed, but he's also going to go a man completely humiliated.
Like the optics of this is going to be really bad for him when it comes to his own country. Now I want to ask you, how do you think Europe is going to react to this?
We had the European delegation over here and they kept saying that, we are non-transactional and, there is a new government in place in the US. We'll have to engage them to see that Ukrainian interests are secure. But it's a wake-up call. Also because, see, when it all started, it started on a great footing, because Trump in the recent past did not receive Macron, Keir Starmer, even Prime Minister Modi at the porch, at the doorstep. He came out to receive Zelensky, and we said, okay, it's maybe because it's for the deal, this multi-billion deal that the two sides would be signing. And then the disaster. On the other hand, I suppose with the meetings that Keir Starmer had with Trump and Macron had with Trump, there was a realization that things are not looking good, that they have to secure their own interests. Look, they came actually to India and there were 22 of the 27 commissioners who were in India. Yeah. That itself is a huge achievement for India, which means they're looking to broad base their alliances, to look at more strategic partners. Yes, absolutely. They're looking for most important strategic partners elsewhere, because over here, at this juncture, it doesn't seem like Trump can be trusted.
Also, we've talked about Ukraine, how this whole blow-up is going to impact Zelensky's position back home. How do you think now this is going to add to Putin's favor? because obviously he was in a, in a better position when it comes to negotiating. And we have seen that Donald Trump talking about the deal, but he didn't say one single bad word about Putin.
No, he didn't.
All
He
this
doesn't
while.
want to. In fact, he's saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to go have a conversation with Putin. He did speak. He is going to meet Putin. He is ensuring that he meets Putin.
Yeah.
So this is going to, this is a very bad space for Zelensky right now, because he's going without a deal that he didn't want in the first place. It was being thrust down his throat. But he still requires American security. And with America now almost, see, if they don't come too close to a deal, they will pull out. And for Putin, nothing can come as a bigger blessing than that America pulls out. And Russian interests, Russia has always said that if you did not want Russia in your backyard, you should not be treading in ours. Ukraine is a sovereign nation. They should have had the right to decide for themselves, but each country has a right to secure themselves. And in this case, I think they were engaging Trump long before. And so now Trump is engaging Putin and will engage Putin. And Zelensky will have to find a way to be relevant. Right now, I see him going into the space of becoming irrelevant should America pull out. Europeans will have to really pull their strength together, not just in terms of solidarity, because you can keep saying, so I show my solidarity from far away. You need to do it. You need to walk the talk, put the money in, put the weapon systems in to ensure that Ukraine is secure. Else, Ukraine will still remain Ukraine. Ishita, a lot of people say, oh, it will become Russia. No, I suppose that this was the buffer that Russia maybe always wanted from European countries. But it's not about what will happen. It will always remain Ukraine, most probably the western part of Ukraine. Eastern part, occupied territories, I don't think Russia is ever going to give up. But if there's a regime change, you could see Yanukovych, who had to flee the country during the Euromaidan protests, which means pro-Russian leaders again will start finding some space. Right now, that's not the case because the country is at war. War heroes are celebrated, but if it takes too long, war fatigue sets in, and then you have fallen war heroes. Is Zelensky one of them is the question. We'll keep tracking this. This is a major development, but there are links in the description for all that has happened between Zelensky and Trump, the conversations, the entire press interaction or interaction in front of the press at the Oval Office. Click onto the links that have been provided in the description. Watch for details. We have analyzed it right now. We analyzed some of it before as well, talking about what the stakes are for Russia, for Ukraine, for Europe, America, and the world. We will also be putting out details on what this means for Ukraine and Ukrainians and how they're thinking about Zelensky. That's also coming up, but also more importantly, how countries are placed and how they've done for themselves when it comes to this entire conflict. So we will keep coming back to you for all the latest on what's happening in DC and how this entire interaction or the worst nightmare of Zelensky coming true as we speak, how this is going to play out and the reactions that will come from Moscow as well. Thank you for watching India Today Global.